Okay, so we're all swimming in this endless sea of information, right? But how much of it is actually true? Today, we're going to tackle a term that has become a battleground all on its own: fake news. We'll dig into its surprisingly long history and, most importantly, look at the science of how we can build up our own mental defenses against it.
And let's dive in with a little philosophy. This ancient line from the Tao Te Ching basically suggests that the moment you slap a label on something really complex, you kind of limit your understanding of it. And you know what? That is the perfect way to start this conversation, because as you're about to see, the name fake news is actually a big part of the problem itself.
You might think fake news is this totally modern plague, something born out of social media. But it's not. The game of spreading lies, oh, that's ancient. It's only the weapons that have changed.
What's so wild about this timeline is the pattern that just jumps out at you. I mean, look, back in the 17th century, you had these sensational pamphlets. They called them canards, being sold on the streets of Paris. Then you fast forward to the 1890s, and bam, you get yellow journalism, and the very first time the term fake news pops up during these crazy newspaper circulation wars. Even President Woodrow Wilson was warning people about foreign propaganda back in World War I. The impulse is exactly the same. The real difference, and this is what the 2016 entry makes so clear, is the delivery system. The internet and social media have basically put this age-old problem on steroids, giving it speed and scale our ancestors couldn't even have imagined.
And that brings us right to today. Section 2, the modern information disorder. Because if we're going to fight this thing, we first have to agree on what we're fighting. What are we really talking about when we say fake news today? So here's the textbook definition for you. At its core, fake news isn't just a mistake. It's not an oopsie. It's a deliberate act. It's false information that's been dressed up to look like real news, and it's always for a reason. Either to trash someone's reputation, or, let's be honest, usually to make a quick buck from ad revenue.
But hey, remember that quote from the beginning? The label itself can be a total trap. The term fake news has become so broad and so politically charged that it's almost meaningless. It's used for everything from a simple typo in an article to a massive foreign disinformation campaign. And that's exactly why experts and researchers are starting to move towards a much more precise term: information disorder. It just does a better job of capturing the entire polluted ecosystem we're dealing with.
And this slide, wow, this really gets to the heart of why this is such a crisis. A study from Pew Research found that a staggering 62% of Americans get their news from social media. Just let that sink in for a second. The main place we get our information is also the least regulated, the most vulnerable to manipulation, and the one place where outrage and emotion travel at lightning speed.
Which brings us to our third section, anatomy of a lie. So we know it's a huge problem, but how does it actually work? Why do lies seem to have these online superpowers, and what is it about our own brains that makes us help them spread?
A massive study of data from Twitter uncovered something truly sobering. False news doesn't just spread a little faster than the truth, it absolutely blows it out of the water. This research found that lies spread significantly farther, faster, and wider than the truth in every single category. And get this, the biggest shocker: this wasn't being driven by armies of bots. It was being driven by real people, by us.
So if it's us doing the sharing, why? Well, the answer is all in our own psychology. Our brains are basically hardwired for this stuff. We are suckers for novelty, the shocking, the surprising. We have a powerful reaction to strong emotions like fear and anger. And maybe the most powerful force of all is confirmation bias. We are literally programmed to believe and share things that confirm what we already think is true.
And this all creates this really powerful ecosystem. So you've got the creators, everyone from hoax artists in it for the ad money to state-sponsored troll farms with a political agenda. Then they're amplified by social media algorithms and bot networks that can make a tiny fringe idea look like a massive consensus. And finally, there's us, the consumers, who, driven by all those cognitive biases, become the last and most important link in the chain when we hit share.
And this quote right here, it highlights a crucial turning point. This is where the very term fake news got turned into a weapon. The strategy is laid out right there. You attack the credibility of the news sources themselves. You devalue them, so that when they report something negative, people are already primed not to believe them. It's a tactic that brilliantly shifts the meaning of fake news from describing a type of content to being a label you can stick on any information you just don't like.
Okay, all of this can feel, well, pretty overwhelming, but it is not hopeless. And that brings us to our final section, building mental immunity.
Let's look at the actual science of how we can fight back and defend our own minds.
For years, the main strategy was what you see on the left, debunking. Fact-checking a lie after it's already gone viral. The problem is, that's like trying to clean up a giant spill after it's already soaked deep into the carpet. The damage is done. So the much more promising strategy that researchers are excited about now is called pre-bunking. It's proactive. It's all about preparing our minds before we ever see the lie.
The science behind pre-bunking is called inoculation theory, and it is a brilliant analogy. Think about it. A vaccine introduces a weakened virus to your body so it can learn to build antibodies, right? Well, psychological inoculation does the exact same thing for your mind. It introduces a weakened form of a manipulative argument so you can build up cognitive antibodies. That way, when you see the real, full-strength version of that tactic out in the wild, you're already prepared to recognize it and resist it.
So how does this inoculation thing actually work in practice? It's a really simple three-step process. First, you get a clear warning that a manipulative message might be coming your way. Second, you see a weakened example of that manipulation, something easy to see through. And third, you get a clear refutation that explains exactly why that tactic is deceptive. It's like a workout for your brain, and study after study shows that it really works.
So, what does this all mean for you right now scrolling through your feed? Here is your mental toolkit. And honestly, the single most powerful tool is the very first one, pause. If a post makes you feel that hot flash of anger or outrage, that's your brain's alarm bell. Just stop. Before you even think about sharing, check the source, read beyond the headline. And finally, if you see something that's just plain false, think about a polite correction. You might not change that one person's mind, but you could help all the other people who are reading it.
And that brings us to our final thought. We're getting better, I think, at spotting the kind of misinformation we see today, but the next wave is already forming, and it's powered by AI that can create incredibly realistic fake videos and audio. This new tech is going to test our defenses in ways we haven't even thought of yet. The battle for truth, it isn't over. It's just evolving, and that means building our mental immunity has never, ever been more important.